How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with a little bit of homebrew up in this piece in the form of Toucan Slammed. Yeah, look at that. Look at the coloration on that sucker. This is kettle sour ale with Fruit Loops, lactose sugar, and butterfly pea flowers coming in at 5%. It's from Everett Brewhouse. From my boy Tyler, sent some off. And it says here, I'm not the government, so I'm not going to care about your consumption of alcohol. That's a government warning on there. I like that. I caught that in the last one I did, so I'm kind of tickled at this. And he wants his bottles back. But you're not going to get them, brother, because I already put them in recycling. I don't know. This looks like all the soda pop. I like the added bonus of it being in a clear bottle. That kind of makes me a little bit more tickled pink. And what does that look like? That looks like purple drink right there, son. Label-wise, it's awesome. You know, this is what you'd expect from a beer of such vibrance. Yeah, it looks like a purple Kool-Aid is what it looks like. Has like a lavender head on it. Let's get a nose. See, here's the cool part. Is that it's got a soft kind of like Berliner Weisse, maybe even a touch of sulfuriness, kind of kettle sour thing going on fine. But it says here kettle sour ale with Fruit Loops. Okay. Knee-jerk reaction. You're first going to be like, I'm not really going to get much Fruit Loops. Wrong. It's not so much that I'm getting like a Fruit Loop off of it. I'm getting a big cereal grain characteristic from it. So that in and of itself is cool. So it's not like super fruit level stuff, but I definitely get the cereal vibe off it, which is really cool. Soft fruitiness, like almost a watered down kind of grape, kind of Kool-Aid. Done and done. Let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, that's great. It's like it's almost like an electrolyte-y. Did I say this about the other beer that he sent off? Maybe, which was the bourbon soury thing. It comes off as like maybe it was a different beer I was talking about. It comes off like kind of like a Gatorade-y kind of version of soda, like an electrolyte drinky kind of beer. Not in a negative way. I'm not trying to give it like that negative connotation that tastes like Powerade or something like that. But it gives it this vibe. It is kind of thirst quenching deliciousness. Is it beer? Sure, for all intents and purposes, and it does have that nice cereal grain, which I get from time to time in beer. It does have a nice soft tart Berliner Weisse, but it definitely has this kind of soda quality to it, alcohol poppy quality to it, but in a much more organic way, in a much more tasty way. I wouldn't be surprised if he did this with more of a kind of straight like white sugar. Because that's pretty, for those that don't know, seltzers are pretty much, instead of using grain, you're using sugar, but you're doing everything else you're doing beer-wise when you brew it. And I could see using like a brewer sugar on this just to kind of keep it to this kind of soft kind of level here, but then just maybe dosing it with a little bit of kind of Berliner, like a sour grain, something to let the grain actually sour the process, as opposed to actually pitching some yeast that'll actually turn it sour. Because a lot of times kettle sours, you could do it a couple different ways. You could do it with like putting in like a Berliner Weisse style kind of yeast, or you can actually let the grain itself kind of kettle sour the beer itself. I could see something like pitching a little bit of that grain along with those brewer sugars would be what he was doing here, and it works off in a very tasty way. I mean, if you are a card-carrying member of the BJCP nerdy group and beer is your holy grail, you drink this and you might scoff at it. I don't. I think it's fun. I think it's tasty, and honestly, it's kind of par for the course, at least when it comes to Tyler and the Everett Brewhouse beers, because they're all across the board unique in and of themselves. They're not pulling any punches, and they're all really, really well made. I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, and there's a couple of them weren't like my favorite beers, homebrew-wise, that I've had, but for what this beer is and what it wants to be, I can't really fault it for anything negative. Maybe if I'm really grasping at straws here for a homebrew, this little tiny inkling of sulfur on the nose, but even that I've forgotten about as quick as I actually recalled it at the beginning of the review. So in the end, man, very tasty stuff yet again. Very impressed. Dig the beers, man. Dig not just the beers, but the versatility across the board and what you're doing with them. Very fun stuff, and I'm really, really glad I got to try these, because it's been a very, very, very fun journey. So yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm not going to tell you I'm here tasting Fruit Loops, but there is a soft little fruity characteristic. I want to lean a grape Plum Crazy Purple, grape. Blurple, grape. Just because of the coloration, and maybe that's a little bit of kind of like placebo effect, but there is that greeniness in there that reminds me of cereal, and it has enough in common with a beer for you know you're drinking a fermented malt product, albeit I think there's a little bit of brewer sugar going on in a very fun way. Done and done. There you go. Homebrew review in the books. We don't do the whole compare it and do this as the best of. It's just fun and tasty, and I dug it. So thank you very much for sending this off again, brother. Very, very appreciative. So there you go. Homebrew in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you ever want to send up some homebrew, you're more than welcome. Matt@massivebeers.com or massivebeers@gmail.com. Write me, and we'll hook up, and you can send some off. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, you're Massif for the podcasting, Massive Beers for the old social medias. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of homebrew right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers.